We need to talk. I know we're in the early stages of our relationship and still don't really know each other all that well, or at all. I'm Kim. But things are about to get pretty serious. I'm about to share with you things that took 12 years to share with my closest friends and family. Never mind these 12 seconds. But this thing between us, it's only gonna work if you can be honest with me too. So please, raise your hand if you have Facebook. Easy enough. Raise your hand if there are photos of you on Facebook. Raise your hand if there are photos of you on Facebook having a really good time. And keep your hands up if this is an accurate representation of your life in general, on a day-to-day basis. Or raise your hand if this is more a highlight reel designed to glorify the happy events of your life, because as much as you hate to admit it, it makes you feel better about yourself when Felicia from accounting knows that you also just got married at Wonderland Estates. And bitch better not make any comments about it at tomorrow's meeting, because she knows you picked your venue years in advance, even before you met Joe, because you knew exactly where you wanted to be on the happiest day of your whole entire life. It happens. Last one. Raise your hand if you have mental illness. Anyone? Bueller? All right, well, it's kind of looking like I do all the work in this relationship anyway, so I will take one for the team and say that I do struggle with mental illness. With today's focus on eating disorders, which are indeed mental illness. Now, for those of you thinking, oh shit, because you don't have an eating disorder, and this is actually the first you're ever hearing about this mental illness, and you're probably too normal for this one. Here's a fun fact. 1 in 5 people suffer from mental illness in any given year. 1 in 5. Look around. This affects everyone, everywhere. And too normal, I don't think I know what too normal means. They say normal's a setting on the washing machine, but show me a washing machine that's never broken down. You know what else isn't normal? My eating disorder, because I have an eating disorder that saves lives. And to better explain, I have to take you back with me to when I was just 15 years old, taping NSYNC music videos from TRL on my VHS and other assorted, outdated acronyms. If this seems young, another fun fact is among kids between the ages of 6 and 12, 70% wish they're thinner, with 1 in 4 children having already been on a diet prior to turning 7 years old. None of this is okay. And so I didn't know it at the time, but mental illness began slowly taking control over my life and would continue doing so for a long time. What I also didn't know was that the eating disorder would get stronger with each of life's difficulties, eventually becoming the only way I knew how to cope with anything. I didn't know what else to do. This was the only thing I knew how to do. And so everything's fine. I don't have a problem. Everything's fine. Growing up, I learned how to multiply and photosynthesize, kind of. But I never learned how I'm supposed to handle my fears, disappointments, insecurities, worries, just regular life stuff. I just knew that they're bad and that I don't want them anywhere near me. But by trying to outrun everything that scared me, a whole new beast emerged, one that I also had to keep locked away. Because there was no way in hell that I would ever admit to having an eating disorder, of all things. An eating disorder. Oh. What will people say? What will they think? I know what they'll say. I've heard it before. They'll think I'm selfish, vain, narcissistic. They'll think I'm gross and just, ugh. They'll think I'm just a really just silly girl who just cares too much about how she looks and about what other people think. And what I really need to do is just not care so much. And just eat like a normal person and just, grow up and get over it, snap out of it, kind of like how you can just snap out of diabetes. Spoiler alert, you can't. Erroneous on both counts. I was hurting, and the only way I knew how to deal was by doing exactly what it was that was hurting me. But I couldn't tell anybody, I couldn't say anything because the stigma. The stigma gave power to the denial, the shame, the guilt, the fear that kept me quietly believing that I was the only person who goes through this, that I'm completely alone, and that somehow it's my fault. And so, what problem? I don't have a problem, everything's fine. I told you. You know what? Everything's better than fine. Everything is awesome. And that's what I needed to do, was to make sure everybody understands that everything is awesome. My life is great. Because that's what really matters, is what other people think, not my health or anything. They just need to know all about my awesome education, career, my family, my friends, my awesome stuff, awesome weekends, awesome vacations. Everything is awesome. Because if everything is brilliant, then nothing could be broken. In reality, the only awesome was how well I was hiding my eating disorder, until it wasn't. Another not so fun fact, if you haven't picked up on the theme yet, is eating disorders have the highest mortality rate out of any other mental illness, with research showing that it kills more than bipolar disorder, schizophrenia, and depression combined. And last spring, it wanted to take me too, but I wasn't ready to go. I got more shit to do. And so with the help of my friends and family and a very scary hospitalization, I began the fight against my eating disorder when I finally agreed to go to residential treatment after many years of denial and suffering. This was by far the scariest decision of my life so far, and I needed to know what I was getting myself into. Luckily, as we learned earlier, everything on the internet is real and true, and so I went online to try to get some info, and I was able to find, I found nothing. What? How could I find 1 million reviews on Iron Man 2, but I can't find a sentence, a thought about somebody's experience in residential treatment for eating disorders, despite 70 million people all over the world suffering from eating disorders? As a millennial, not finding my answer online felt like betrayal. But as a millennial, I started to blog. I decided if there wasn't much out there, I'd put something out there. And who knows, maybe somebody as terrified as I am will find it one day. The shame was still strong, so I used a fake name and I told approximately 4 people. Something very weird started to happen. Somehow, people found my blog and started reading from all over the world. And not only that, but they would write to me with their encouragement and support, their own personal stories and those of their loved ones. Between that and the strong bonds I formed in treatment, I finally felt like I'm not alone in this. I finally felt like I could be me without the running and the pretending and the hiding. And then it was time to go back to work. An idea that brought me much anxiety even before a date was set. But I tried to be prepared. I would simply reply, "Hi, nice to see you too. It has been a while. I had to take some time off to deal with a personal matter, but things are much better now, thank you for asking." Because that was gonna shut them up. Then another weird thing happened, apparently a common theme in my life. On the big day, I told the truth. "Hi, nice to see you too. It has been a while. I was in treatment for an eating disorder, but things are much better now. Thank you for asking." That definitely shut them up. And so began my coming out extravaganza, where I posted to social media and even included a link to my blog. Things I never thought I would ever do ever. And standing here on this stage talking about it was definitely on that list. The response was astounding, with hundreds of people reaching out to me, saying all types of wacky stuff, like that I'm strong and brave and inspiring. What? Me? I just have an eating disorder. But turns out that was when the life-saving stuff started to happen. Because by openly standing up to my eating disorder and owning my reality, this empowered other people to do the same thing. Many people, both women and men, openly talked about their eating disorders for the very first time. People called me from treatment saying that my courage inspired them to seek help for their own illness. Psychologist friends shared with their clients, and patient friends shared with their families to better explain such a complex illness. I even had a senior manager tell me that he only knew how to help his cousin because of reading of my personal stories. I never expected to be such a passionate mental illness survivor and advocate, and I certainly never expected to be hearing that I'm saving any lives. But I'm gonna let you in on a little secret. From one superhero to a bunch of others, I didn't gain any special powers. All I did was take back the power that was already mine. Back from the eating disorder, back from the stigma, back from the crippling fear of what other people will think. Because you know what? Everything wasn't fine. And that's okay. And it's also okay that I had to go and get help for an illness that I did not ask for. Let's all have the courage to face our fears and own our stories, even the parts that we don't put up on social media. Because I'm telling you, the girl who seems like she has it all, she's not showing you her whole hand either. So whether it's going to treatment for an eating disorder, or being unmarried at a certain age, or going to AA at lunch, just do you. Just live you. Nobody else matters. That's what I'm trying to say. And so, in the end, in the grand finale, plot twist kicker of them all, turns out this wasn't an action-packed superhero story. This is a love story. Because by taking back control over my life, I'm able to be here with you today in this loving relationship. But I was also able to figure out how I can love myself too. Thank you.